Welcome to the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce's We Are Business podcast. This episode is a joy. I am Susan Spears, President and CEO, and your host. And our guest today is the chair of the Chamber's Board of Directors, Ginny Matern, and she is the founder and owner of Matern Staffing. Welcome, Ginny.
I am happy to be here.
I am so excited to be here with you. These usually are recorded and they tape within a week or two. Yesterday, we spent a better part of the day together. We were in King George County, which is part of our region in Fredericksburg, at a summit about economic development, right? And we spent the day with that topic, which was just phenomenal. And, you know, folks, as you're listening to this, we're going to talk about the passions and things that Ginny gets involved with and why both of us get so stoked about everything to do with business, right?
Correct.
Absolutely. Founder, owner of Matern Staffing. Ginny is a proud Virginia native from Stafford County, Virginia, again, right here in the Fredericksburg region. And the Matern Staffing is a staffing agency that's headquartered here in the region, and it serves businesses across Virginia, Maryland, and beyond. She may end up, as we are talking, tell you a little bit more about the founding of the business and the history of the business that predates her as well. It's just a great story, and Ginny's a great business leader. She always selects opportunities to help shape the future of our community when she says yes to volunteer efforts in the community. Right now, she's involved with many different things, more than I can dive into here beyond the Chamber Board of Directors. But of note, she's also on the Spotsylvania County Economic Development Authority, and she is on Go Virginia Region 6's board. Those are awesome experiences, I'm sure, for you, Ginny. She's been recently appointed to I think it's more of a task force. I'm not sure of the name of it, but it's a women's business group that's going to be kicking off with her on, as part of that with the Virginia Chamber, which I'm really proud to see you getting involved with that. And she's been recognized with honors in our region for her commitment and the way she's just an ethical, strong leader. She's received the Chamber's Laurier Weidman Enterprising Women's Award, as well as the University of Mary Washington's Meta R. Bramer Women Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Pretty sure there's more awards in your future, Miss Matern. She's not going to respond to that.
I'm not going to respond to that.
All right, so let's get going now that I've let them all know how fabulous you are. As a business owner and a mom, what does being part of the chamber and the business community mean to you, Ginny?
It means a lot to me. It's basically giving back to the community, being able to be involved, being able to show up for others in the community. It could be for Matern Staffing, it could be for the chamber, it could be for the local school systems, but it's, helping the community, better the community.
And I think that's admirable, but it's not a requirement to do business. It's not the way everybody approaches the success for their business or their lives. What drives you to want to get involved and help make things better?
For me, it's the personal drive. It's to show my daughter, what I do every day. It's not just about working. It's also about helping others. I also like to show my staff as well to get involved. So it helps people grow, I feel like, professional and personally. I always live by this quote. It's like comfort, I can't remember the exact word of it. It will come to me in a second. But it's just like when you're uncomfortable, that's when you really kind of grow and start to learn.
Yeah, and you've had a few moments that felt uncomfortable, right?
Just a couple.
Here and there, a few. And one of those could have been, I know changing careers and really diving into Matern Staffing. And how many years has that been now?
It's going to be 10 in January.
Okay, so you're coming up on a milestone. It makes you think about it, doesn't it, when there's a date marker like that?
It does. We're in the process of kind of doing like a brand refresh. We're also looking at kind of revamping a little bit of our website, our mission, our values. We're working on a strategic plan. And so it's just made me kind of think over the past 6 months, what we have accomplished.
Yeah, it's and listening to you say that, I don't always hear that with a small business owner. You often hear you have to have a strategic plan and these mission, vision, values when you're working with nonprofits, boards of directors, all of those things, but not always as deeply, particularly with a smaller business. So, what made you decide that those things were important?
I think it shows, who Matern is, who we show up for, and it kind of helps develop that culture for your office as well. If your employees also, have the same vision and mission and core values, and you show that, I feel like they're going to show up for you as well.
Excellent, excellent. Now, one of the things that you've been really involved with here at the Chamber is our Leadership Fredericksburg program. And you are a graduate of Leadership Fredericksburg, and you've been very involved with it through the years. And you have also invested, as you just said, in some of your team members coming to Leadership Fredericksburg. So let's chat about that for a few minutes, beginning with, tell me about what comes to mind. It's a loaded question because you were in the year, you were in 2020's class.
Yes.
So you had a very different experience than, 90% of the rest of the graduates because we missed a month. Your class was meeting on the Friday right after everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And so we actually didn't hold class. And I think you still had a good experience, but that's the only time in our 19-year history that we actually skipped a class because the world was on its side, axis, like turned upside down. But you still were, and then the rest of the year was virtual. So we adjusted that way. But your experience in general, the first whole half of it, you were in a normal circumstance all the way up through March. So it was closer to graduation than not. And then all of the learning and the team building and so forth. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so I think it's important. I just imagine going to work every day, not getting developed, not having a mentor, not having a really good leader. So the leadership, Fredericksburg Leadership has really done that for our staff. It's making them kind of learn personally about themselves, where they show up at, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. But sometimes their weaknesses, they don't even realize are actually their strengths. So it helps them get out their name. It helps them also to be able to network with the community and get involved in something that they're passionate about. If I'm involved in something on a board for a nonprofit, it may be something I'm passionate about for kids, but maybe somebody in the office, they've connected with somebody else and they're passionate about this nonprofit. So I think it's good for them to have, they've got their teammates at work, but then when they're out in the community, they also have their classmates who turn into friends or who turn into mentors that they can really turn to. Because if you're having a conflict with somebody at work, you're not going to have that one-on-one with another teammate at work. So you can kind of, reach out to your mentor, reach out to a classmate, be like, what am I seeing? What am I doing wrong? So you can get advice from somebody else.
Yeah, that's really great to be reaching outside. It's a natural inclination for folks in the workplace to want to vent together, but it's always a better choice to go externally, even if they're not internal and they don't know the whole story, but to have a trusted person that can at least hear you, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and you mentioned the mentor component. For our listeners, what exactly is that? And I can help you with some of that if you need me to jump in on any of it.
Yeah, I think for a mentor is somebody who kind of guides that person, throughout their journey. It gives them a different perspective. It may not be the correct perspective, but it's like gives them to look at it in different ways and not just their way.
Mm-hmm. And so in the context of the program, Leadership Fredericksburg. So it's 9 months, and we connect people in the program for those 9 months with a mentor that's trained, and then they are with them for 9 months or beyond. And so most of those mentors are also graduates of Leadership Fredericksburg. So it's a pretty cool network, I think, at this point. And it's a confidential playing field,
Yeah, no, I agree. We have somebody right now in Leadership Fredericksburg, and she is in awe of her mentor, connects well with her. very similar personalities, but I can see the growth from where she started and to where she is today. It's just kind of, I feel like it's building her confidence that I have noticed over the last 7, 8 months.
Well, that's an amazing thing to think about. And, where you are today in your journey, I think most people wouldn't think you were ever at a spot where you walked in a room without full confidence.
Yeah.
But you've really, I think you recently spoke at a women's leadership event outside of our region. I wasn't able to be there, but it sounds phenomenal. And I think you shared some of that, part of that movement of that journey. Can you share some of that with us here?
Yeah. So back in January, did a little bit of travel out of state. I was asked to speak at a women's summit through one of our vendors. And I was able to kind of reflect and tell people who are entrepreneurs as well in the room and tell them my story. And until you start to hear it over and over again, sometimes you don't really think about it. But I had the travel time on the way back to really kind of think about it and connected well with a couple of other, entrepreneurs in the room. And the one thing I was thinking about in the beginning of my journey that I didn't do well at, and I'm very honest about it, is I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't really ask for advice. And then the other thing that, really struggled with in the beginning, and it's, part of this story, is also there was no access to any capital. So it's made me kind of realize, that I need to be doing something like that for this region more per se. Actually just had lunch with somebody on Friday to see how I could help this individual out to get her business moving. And I think that's important. Sometimes we get stuck in our jobs or our duties and we don't think about, where somebody else is in their journey.
Great. Well, I'm sure that even having that conversation with you was impactful for that individual.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Yeah. So that's great. What a journey. Well, this is the person that shows up and is on the forefront here as the chair of the Chamber Board of Directors. So we're talking about a small business owner, a female leader. His company's coming up on 10 years in business under her leadership now, and a mom and someone that's giving back in our community. Great stuff. And we are proud that you're the chair of our board. As we continue to think about all of that as what comes in the room each time she joins us, let's talk about what we're doing at the Chamber. So one of our top initiatives really here as the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce is talking about regionalism. Mm-hmm. So you were with us when we went to Lexington, Kentucky to see how they do regionalism successfully, how they overcame some of the challenges we've had here in our region. And we're getting ready to embark on our second regional trip, which will be in-state to Lynchburg, Virginia. So let's talk about some of your observations from Lexington and what we're hoping for with Lynchburg around regionalism.
So it was very eye-opening in Lexington. The biggest thing was the academies, the school system, how mm-hmm. they have this regional system for their schools. It's public school. And they have these different pathways for students. It could be nursing, it could be, law, it could be, CTE courses. It was amazing to see how their region has come together to provide this for their students. The other thing that I've noticed too is their tourism departments, their region, they all meet once every Friday and they talk about, how they can collaborate. Because when you're coming to our region, if you're coming to visit, maybe you're spending a day at Kalahari, right? And then maybe you can catch, and that's in Spotsylvania, but then you're going to be heading to the city of Fredericksburg and you're going to catch a baseball game, or you're going to head to Stafford and go to a winery. So how can we add all that together? How can we come together in a better way?
Yeah, and one of the things I remember about Lexington, they had the 9 localities, and a couple of them were really small. And then the large ones, meaning population, meaning how much money the locality has, what they can spend on things. And when they agreed to work together, they kind of balanced that, right? And said, we're all equal partners. So just because this larger one has a larger footprint, we all rise together. And so we will meet you halfway and help lift you up and attract people to your part of the region too. So that's a real goal for us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it's a big goal. I know they do talk about, how the region here came together for the tax rate for the data centers, but I think it's bigger than that. I think we really have to look at when we're competing for projects, we need to all compete for it together instead of just one locality. Because what if it's between Stafford and Spotsylvania? Then we're pitting each other up against each other. We want to see our region thrive.
Yeah, and we really heard that message yesterday at the Go Virginia at the summit when we heard from the EVP from VEDP, Ted Sniffen, and he was really talking about economic development projects and attraction and how regions should come together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really powerful. Lynchburg is not far away, so I think we're going to have a great time getting over there and then exploring a lot of things around entrepreneurship, tourism, energy innovation, workforce partnerships. So we'll look at what we're doing here, what's going well, and what we can enhance and grow. We had 50 people on the other trip, and we expect to have that this time as well. Don't you think that relationship building is such a big part of it too? When all the stuff in between the learning when we go on these trips and so forth.
Yeah, that's how I feel like those trips create partnerships and they create connections. I know there was a couple of school systems there. They've created partnerships. Also, too, there's been business leaders that were on that trip and they've created partnerships and have helped each other out. That's what it's about, I think. And even those businesses are in different localities. They're still, I think it shows, that they're leaders of the community of the region.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the magic of the chamber. The Chamber of Commerce is how we bring people together. Mm-hmm. I like to call it, sometimes I see it happening right in front of me and I just sort of pause and watch. It's not very, poetic. I call it the moments. It's not, the words don't sound like they move you that far, but they're actually in the most simple form. They're the moments where it's like a seed that's been planted and what comes right after it. And if you're standing there in real time, you're not holding a camera, you're not trying to put it out on social media, you're just literally there watching it happen as those moments that bring about real change. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're all on relationships.
It's all relationship based. It's all about real connections.
Mm-hmm. Real connections and just the way it happens. So everywhere from Leadership Fredericksburg to regional partnerships, board of directors, et cetera, committees. Recently, the board went up to Washington, D.C. We had quite the day. Yeah. We did a joint trip. We spent the morning over at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, their headquarters right there in the heart of D.C., and then we went over to Capitol Hill. We had a nice lunch in between the two, and we had most of the board, I think, missing one or two. Tell us about some of that and what it was like for you.
I think it was great. Starting of course, the bus ride up, because we were all chatting the entire time, which made it really nice to kind of get to know each other more on like a little bit of a personal level. Mm-hmm. And then getting to the U.S. Chamber and, the services and the things that they offer, I think it was eye-opening because we have some international manufacturing companies that are board members as well, to see, how can the U.S. Chamber also help them? So that was very impactful for a lot of people and just the connections of what they do, not just for, larger businesses, but also what they do for the small business as well. On top of that, we had a great lunch. Our connections continued. And then we got to the Capitol. And that was probably the best part of the day. getting lost in the Capitol, actually.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we still figured it out. And it was actually great fun to have all of us in our suits and everything kind of running through under the tunnels and going through security and getting in and out and still getting there in the nick of time to sit down with, our senator and our representatives, right?
Yeah, it was a great day, and it was great to see others kind of speak up and lead, which I thought was great. And the one thing everybody said at the end of the day is it wasn't long enough.
Yeah, and you don't hear that all the
Mhm.
time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So our message to you, our listeners, is that you can combine all of these things that you're passionate about and that make a difference for your community and do really serious, important work. You can do the things that make such a difference, and you can also connect and have an enjoyable, fun time, right?
Yeah.
And just it all can happen at the same time. It's kind of magical to me.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it was great. And then, talking to all the representatives, which we appreciate their time.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, when we got back, everyone was like, let's continue the night. And so a couple of us, quite a few of us all had dinner together.
I know, and that is so wonderful. So then they're over at a chamber member business, at the end of the day, so stimulating the local economy even further, So the whole experience is just wow, well-rounded, and everybody's pleased. And I'm just so delighted that we could do that. And I'm so delighted that the U.S. Chamber extended their arms around us as if we were the most important chamber in the country, And that's their magic of making each one know that they matter, and talking about those partnerships, and that we're part of the U.S. Chamber, but they're a distinctively separate organization, and they work on the federal level with advocacy, and then they also work on helping with professional development and leadership for the folks that are working at chambers of commerce. So it's all around just endless good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a wealth of information. They treated us like we've known them for the past 20 years.
Yes. Amazing. I'm happy. I love hearing you talk about it too. So it's just great. Well, as this week, as we're sitting down to record this morning, our annual gala is about 2 days away.
I know. It kind of snuck up on me, I feel like. We were talking about that in the office last week. I was like, next week is the gala.
It really is. And that's always a big night. Take me back. Can you remember the first one you went to? It's not a trick question.
I did. I think I went with one friend, because I don't think any other time any of my coworkers wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just didn't really know many people, but I, met people that night. I made connections, and I had a great time just, watching people get their awards. It's like the best night for them, to see them happy, to see them thrive in the region. It's such a good thing to see. But I can't imagine the amount of work your staff does to put this on.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's kind of unbelievable
Mm-hmm.
how we've pulled this off for all these years with such a small staff. I will remember it in a lot of different phases in my mind. I worked at the chamber 6 years before I was the president. And so I've seen it on the inside side of being the staff that's on the implementation, and then the CEO side where I'm working more on the programmatical side than those details of everything from the seating charts and the selling the sponsorships and the everything where they have the visionary tickets and all the places and people. And anyway, it is a lot of moving parts. And the thing about the chamber that people don't necessarily know is, right now today we have a business academy happening most of the day. And the gala's in 2 days. And then the following, the week after, we're going to have another event. We don't just have like one event a quarter or something. They keep going. And this is just one of the biggest, most visual, right? It is the gala. And we get excited because we like to talk about what we're going to wear. And
we were showing each other yesterday.
Yeah. And it's just, but to your point, it's such a great celebration for our listeners. It's where we recognize a business of the year, large business, small business, entrepreneur of the year. Sometimes we have a community impact award, and we will have one of those this Friday night. And then there's also the Prince B. Woodard Leadership Award, which is for an individual that has exemplified leadership and ethics and regional vision over a period of time. That's going to be really big this Friday night. I say that every year. It's always big. It's going to be a big one. It's super exciting. And I get a lot of my joy, Ginny, when I just watch people get that moment, like you said, of being recognized for, hey, I'm being recognized for my business. It's so great.
Yeah, they get up there. And some of them are, surprised. I remember Stephen Kingsley got the Prince B. Woodard a couple years ago, and he was just shocked, in awe. And, his story with donating the bone marrow, just amazing.
And, I know that story because, here we go again on relationships, community building. I believe I first knew Stephen. He is a member of our board, and he is with Truist Bank. I knew Stephen through Rotary, and that's where I got to know him really well. And so when he did that, years ago, when he did the bone marrow transplant, made the difference in life for a human being. He was in Rotary, and so that whole story was told then. And so when the committee was reflecting on community leaders and giving back, and we dug up. We found some stories and pictures actually from it. And I think to your point, when we put that up on the screen, that was really powerful. And, as he's out doing his bank business and everything he does out in the community, nobody knows that this gem of a human being that's not only done things to help the region, but literally someone across the country who he didn't know.
Saved his life.
It is incredible.
Well, and I connected with Stephen, Leadership Fredericksburg. We were in the same class and then happened to be on the same team.
Yeah, just think if I hadn't put y'all on the same team, which, you might not be buds now.
Yeah. We are different. We are much different, though. I'm a driver. He's a networker. So when it came to the teamwork portion, if you can imagine, we were on different pages.
Yes, and I have to continuously remind myself, wait, she's a driver. Stop talking, Susan. You've gone a little too far with that story. Oh, it's so great. So the gala is going to be phenomenal, and not long after that, a couple weeks later, will be our Leadership Fredericksburg graduation, 19 years. So that's going to be exciting too. It's always just such an incredibly emotional and powerful day. To see that. And then we'll be not somewhere in that time frame. We'll be recognizing educators from around the region, and then we'll dive into first responders.
Yeah, I love that event.
Always powerful, where we recognize the first responders from around the region for varying acts, and really to them it's every day, but they need to know from the business community, right?
Yeah, we appreciate them.
Yeah, we appreciate them, and we make sure that they know it. So there's a few things like that are just big things that we do, and we're so grateful to people like you, Ginny, that give back your time and effort and sponsorships, people, all of it that you do to make this Chamber of Commerce successful.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you giving me the chance and the connections and, supporting, not just my business, but also me, personally as well.
Oh, thank you, Ginny. Yeah. Thank you. Well, we'll start to wind up here as we finish our conversation for right now. Anything else you'd want to share with listeners right now?
Oh, so I did think of my quote. It's growth and comfort do not coexist. So when you're comfortable, you don't grow. So when you're uncomfortable, that's when you really start to learn.
Excellent. Write that down, folks. Put it somewhere and remember it. When you have those moments and you're not sure, you're trying to decide what to do, that where you're on that line of discomfort, step over it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we certainly thank you for everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing you Friday night and many other days beyond that. And we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. We just spent the last half hour with the great chair of the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Ginny Matern. She is the founder, owner, president of Matern Staffing here in the Fredericksburg, Virginia region, and just a great community leader. Thanks for being with us. And thanks to our listeners for listening today. And go ahead and follow us, like us, and find out more about the great leaders in the Fredericksburg region.